What's going on, Darryl?
I'm holding for the CRA. It might take a
No,
while.
you're not.
I'm on
No,
hold.
you're not.
I've been on hold for 4 hours
4 days.
already. I can't get off now,
days.
TK. We're going to have to do the show while I'm on the hold with the CRA.
As a legal representative, like a POA with POA, right? And then you can enter the business number and you
Can you repeat that, please?
can attach and submit the file. So that is one thing. Second is a fax and mail. So I will provide you the
Hello? I don't understand what you're saying. Can you repeat that, please?
as a legal representative, like a POA with POA, right?
Lots of stuff is going on out there for me right now, Darryl. Holy smokes.
Is there a lot going on?
I got things going on. Like I got so many deals that are already firm that, like I got one property that's sold already, but the buyers, they're trying to sell their house. They haven't sold their house yet. So they're like, oh my God, what are we going to do? Like when that happens, when the market crashes like 20% in like, 3 months, I get it. I'm like, yeah, you overpaid, price went down, appraisal. Now the value of your home's gone down. You can't afford to sell it for lower. Da, da, da. But this particular case, the people just like didn't really know that their house was only worth a certain amount of money when they bought ours.
Whoa, hey, ow.
So that becomes obviously an issue for us because we got to make sure that the place gets sold and everything else. And we're in a good position. We got a good deposit, all those type of things. But we just want people to, work together in peace. We don't want to have anybody out there who's worried about, a lawyer or having to get private financing or anything like that. That's just, it's a hassle, at the end of the day, it's a hassle. But I have had in the last little while, lots of last minute deal negotiations and obstacles. And so I'm not saying that that's because of the deals or the market or anything like that. I'm saying that that is just like the heightened state of stress that people are under right now. There's just a little bit more stress in everybody's life right now. And they're crying. I got someone crying about, a few $100s, because of
Few
a mistake that
$100s.
somebody made. The lawyers, the buyers, the bank, I don't know. Somebody made a mistake. Everyone's blaming the other person. It's a few $100s. There's a cost, and I'm just sitting in the middle. I had
Don't
nothing to
worry.
do
I
with it,
got
but
it.
they all,
Let's just
but they
close,
all,
guys.
no,
I'll
it's
pay it.
closed. Everything's done. It's after the fact. But now everyone calls me to sort of whine about it, right? Just to be able to say, hey, what do you think about this? And I'm like, guys, it's a few $100 here. Let's come to an agreement. Why doesn't everybody chip in?
I think if the fucking realtor was doing his job properly, this couple $100 wouldn't have
Couple
come
hundred
out
bucks
of
never
anyway,
would have
right?
happened. Had
Never
nothing
would
to
have
do
happened.
with real estate sales, strictly to do with mortgage stuff. But
So you
absolutely,
didn't offer to pay it, and that's why they're coming after and they're complaining to you, right? They're like, yeah,
there's a
I don't
chance
know
that I
about
still
that.
may pay it. So let's not.
Yes, there is a
There's always a
chance that you
chance
will
that I
still
still,
pay it.
at the end of the day, just to make people happy, pull out the checkbook and say, here you go. Here's your couple $100 to, make sure that you're happy overall with the services. At the end of the day, I just want people to be happy to move on. There is a cost to my peace of mind. And I can say to you one thing, Darryl, because I'm talking to a few different agents on the team about their problems and stuff. There's a lot of stress in our job, and there's a lot of stress in the
Right
markets.
now, there is.
And the more you deal with it, the better you get at handling it.
Yeah, so you think until you have a situation on your hands that goes the wrong
Look, I'm
way,
not saying I
right?
don't have stress. I got all sorts of things, but
Superman.
at the end of the day, like I'm able to shrug off things a lot easier. And that feels good, because I don't want to.
Well, I mean, listen,
I don't have any gray hair.
you don't have any gray hair yet. That's true.
But
I mean, you're very
one
young.
day it's going to come. One day it's going to come. And I don't want it to come any sooner than it needs to.
Like, comment, and subscribe to the channel. TK, if you could subscribe, I would appreciate it. I'll press
Still
subscribe.
listening?
Right
go
now.
to Apple Podcasts, go to Spotify, go to
Go
Google Podcasts.
please.
Just listen on the
Just
podcast
watch us.
channels,
We
guys.
need it.
What's going on?
My
Like,
ego
comment,
needs
and
you to
subscribe.
watch us. And my
Yeah.
ego really needs you to like us.
I'm ready to quit my job and just do podcasting full time, but we need more
We need more likes
people watching.
and views. Please. Yes. And if you want to talk to TK,
check out the link below. Book a 15-minute call. Let's talk real estate or get some free t-shirts. Thanks for the support. We love you guys.
things are a lot easier to deal with when you have a little bit of a cushion in the bank, and things have been going good for a few years. It's all these people that are hanging on for dear life that are really gonna cause chaos in the market, because
Yeah.
I've said it before and I'll say it again. I mean, people's perspective make them do very stupid, crazy things for money, right? And
Mm.
so when you are, I mean, look how important the realtor is to the deal. I mean, you're so central, right? Everybody's coming through you for something, even if it has nothing to do with you. Generally, you know about it, you have
I'm
to help with
involved.
it.
My
You're
name's on
involved
the
with it, right?
paperwork. I'm involved.
You're
Yeah.
involved. But I mean, most of you don't have a bloody clue what you're doing, and all of this faith and all of this, important decision making, or just there's so much riding on these things that are left up to these idiots that are hanging on for dear life, that you know, people are very manipulative. So when there's a decision to make, maybe the right decision, or maybe even all the information isn't passed on in order to make sure that the answer is we're going to close ASAP. Do you follow what I'm saying? So I mean, it's good when you're a seasoned veteran and you got some money and everything's good and you can make the right decisions for the clients, because at the end of the day, you know, you've built a business, you want to keep your reputation.
You want to stay around for another 30
And
years.
well,
Yeah.
and you understand that
Makes
sometimes,
sense.
you got to lose some money to make some money, and
And I've lost some money,
you've
just
lost
so
some money,
everybody
sure.
knows.
Well,
I've
and
cut some checks.
what a lot of seasoned real estate professionals understand is that if you really want to squeeze a little bit more at the end, there's always the realtor's commissions, right? And
So we had this one. This just reminded me of this one. So the guy, we sold the house, right? It was a builder client of mine. He kind of did a build. He did there was an existing home built on top of the bungalow, expanded it at the back, did all sorts of stuff. So we get the sale done. And the at the last minute, there's a work order put on the property for his deck. So instead of doing a deck, he put a covered deck. And so because it's a covered deck, it became a structure as opposed to just a deck. And he didn't have a permit for that. And so, of course, he got a work order put on his property. And so then the buyers found out about it. And so we said, no problem. We're going to get it done by closing, and we'll have a $30,000 holdback until it gets done. Because it's like this beautiful covered deck. It was like the most gorgeous one you could imagine. Well, it turns out TRCA was involved. Because even though it was a backyard with no forest or anything like that, there was some sort of like little waterway that was like at the bottom of this hill that in case there's like a one-off flood, there was, a type of culvert in this valley, right? And so TRCA was involved. So of course, nothing gets done fast, nothing else happens, blah, 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 blah. So we get the job done to the point where everybody's happy.
Except for the lawyer, no?
The buyers are happy. I'm pretty sure there was a certain amount of money just going to be given to the buyers, and they were going to take on the chances. The buyers were happy. Okay. But this neighbor next door, he was always really upset with the way that the building was done. And like, there was just relationship issues there. And he had his own things going on too. So long story short is, he was accused of being a racist because he only wanted people of his nationality moving in, and the buyers weren't that nationality. So the first day he moved in, he asked them what's their nationality. They said the wrong answer. So he got upset. Well, then what happened is it was a private driveway, right? It's a private driveway. So you got this driveway that goes along the side of the house and it goes to your backyard. His driveway's on the other side of the house. He doesn't use that driveway at all. But his house is close to this house that we sold. So that's not that narrow of a space. And obviously some land does belong to him, and the private driveway being like just enough. But because there's no fence there, it was enough for any car to go in and out of that driveway. Well, because he was so upset with the fact that these new neighbors weren't the type of neighbors he was looking for, he built the fence on the property line legally, exactly where he's allowed to. And they built to put the 6x6 post. He did everything right. And now you've got this narrow little laneway in between the house and the fence that the guy's BMW or SUV or something like that couldn't get into the driveway, and he's going off and da 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 da, and it's like a major issue. And of course, we don't want any problems. We don't want anybody to be upset or anything like that. And so we talked to the buyer. We said, what is it going to take to make this go away? We want you to be happy. He told us what to do. We said, here you go. Deal with the neighbor. Deal with TRC. Move on. I didn't make any money on that deal, but
is that what you were talking about? Okay.
Right.
So,
but but these are the things that happen, you know?
That happened before closing?
Yeah. Oh, no, the fence
Then
happened after closing.
so what the hell did you lose money for?
Ooh-wee. Listen, these are just the things that you do, all right? You don't want problems, Daryl. We're not looking
Jesus,
for
that's a
problems.
little much, I think. That's a
Well,
little
I'm
bit
just letting
crazy.
you know that was one of the scenarios that happens. You know, people get upset, and then you know what, the realtors, they do what they got to do. They keep going. They got to move on with life. You know, and sometimes there's mistakes that we made. You know, like I mean, like I'm not
Yeah,
perfect.
most of the
I
time.
put a water, a condo I sold. Everybody in the building saying water's included. My seller told me, you know, everything's included the way it is. You just pay hydro. Well, it turns out on the hydro bill there was a little part for water. And so the buyer, when they bought the condo afterwards, said, "Hey, hold on a second. I'm paying this $30 or whatever it is a month for water. And you said on the listing that water was included. So that cost me like $1,000, you know, to pay the buyer afterwards." And says, "I just don't want any problems. Like, you know, don't go anywhere with this here. If I made the mistake, which I did, I owned up to it. And I said, here you go. I cut the check, and, you know, Bob's your uncle."
It's not hard to find the mistake that the realtor made to try and chip away at his commission.
That's what happened. I
This
felt
is
like
what
I got
happened.
taken.
So,
And then you know what they said? "Don't worry. When I'm looking to buy or sell again in the future, you're my guy."
yeah,
And I was
sure.
like, sure.
Sure, yeah. Hey,
I'll
listen,
see you
when
then.
people are buying one house, I don't know how loyal they can be or and how much they care about the realtors so much. I mean,
I
I
don't
guess
think that
some
happens.
people are nice and they give a shit, but at the end of the
In,
day,
in fact, the odds, the person who says to me, "You're my guy. I'm not going with anybody else. I'm just not ready right now. When the time comes, I'm going to go with you."
0%.
The odds of that person going with me are as low as it could be compared to the person who doesn't say that.
As low as condo sales in Toronto? Whoa,
Oh,
let's talk
what
about
a
something
shift.
not about what the hell you were just talking about there, because I don't
Sorry to
even know
bore
what the
you.
hell we were talking
Sorry to
about. Yeah, that's okay. You probably
bore
bored
you.
everybody and nobody's watching anymore, but that's okay, TK.
Good, 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 good.
Condo sales,
Condo sales.
that's an oxymoron right now, isn't it? Condo and sales in the same sentence, because
It
it
depends on
is
where it depends on where you are, but you're
depends
right.
on where you are. What are you
Yeah.
talking about? Okay,
No, no,
maybe
no.
I'm talking about new
There's
condo
a few
sales.
there's a few condo sales that are happening, but like it's
A
so crazy. Like
few.
everybody starts to list their condos at the same time. Like I
This
get
is
why
what you
some
were
people are.
talking about before. Remember? It's like this stupid herd mentality. It's like,
It's now people are coming to me and they're like, "I want to sell my condo because you know the
now?
tenant's leaving and everything else." I'm like, "You have no mortgage, or like, you know, you've paid down most of it. You bought it like 20 years ago. Why is this a good time to do it?" But everybody's doing it. And we're getting a lot of
These
people
are
coming to us.
boomers. These are boomers that are
Everybody, of
retiring.
course, in that scenario, but there's just a ton of people who are looking to get out of the condo market now for a few different reasons. Some of them are coming to us because they're expired or they're about to expire with their current agent. And yeah, listen, price solves everything in this condo market right now. If you're the best deal in the building, you will sell. I put an offer on a condo list this week for somebody, right? And we lowballed the heck out of them. There
And
was like 5 units. They rejected our offer. They didn't even sign
okay.
back. I was like, I don't care. There's 3 units that are the same. So I'm like, and we're not in a rush. I was like,
Did you
listen,
lowball all three?
no, because the other two right now is not the time because they were kind of just getting on the market. This one's been on the market a long time. So I was just like, look, this is what it is right now. Like we're going back out next week to look at other units. There's a ton of
Yeah,
units
there's a
available.
ton of
So telling my buyer,
options.
like,
This
don't
has got
be
to be
stressed
the
at all. We will find a unit that's right for you.
yeah.
Otherwise, keep
It's got to
moving.
be
This
the
is a great time
weirdest
to be
time for a
a
lot
buyer.
of realtors out there who have like all these choices to show their clients, and they're like, holy fuck, like how many goddamn condos do I got to
I'm going
show
out
these
tomorrow.
people,
I'm
right?
going tomorrow, Saturday. That's exactly what I was thinking. I was like, I sent them a list of like
Too many
70
choices.
condos. Normally I would take, you know, 5, 10, whatever. You try to pick it out. But first of all, there's like 400 that matched our criteria. So I like
Oh
shrink it
my
down, shrink it down, shrink it down. Then
God,
I start going
no.
through the building. So I told them we're going out tomorrow and on Saturday. And I said, look, I'm going to pick 2 buildings that I know, that I
Weird.
like, that I trust, that I think are good for you, for your lifestyle. And I said, we're just going to look at those buildings on Saturday, and we'll, you know,
Redirect.
yeah, we'll
Little
figure out what
redirect.
other buildings are like for you now. But it's
Oh my
overwhelming
God.
how many options they got. You
That's
know?
crazy because I
Yeah.
mean, just such a short time ago, it was like if something popped up, it's like, forget it. We'll take it. Like, just give them an offer. We'll pay over asking. Like, we
Yeah.
don't give a
Condo
shit.
markets are not. It's seldomly
That
like
was
that. It
weird.
happens every once in a while, but it was not always like that.
Well,
you
but
know?
it wasn't anywhere close to this
It's
either.
the worst it's been. Yeah.
This is the craziest.
This is where I'm
thing
gonna brag again a little bit, because
Uh-oh.
like people who've been specializing in condos for their whole careers now are kind of stuck, right?
Oh
Because
yeah,
they're going, geez, like what am I supposed to do? How am I supposed to sell all these condos?
yeah.
Right. And so in Toronto, I believe you got
How am I
a
supposed to put
diversified
food on the table?
portfolio, and you should be, looking at of homes and investor properties. You should know how to be able to sell condos. You should be able to know how to sell houses. You should know how to be able to sell investment properties, like residential investment properties, as a
Come
resale
on, people can't
residential
even
realtor.
sell the easiest goddamn deal on the planet. Like,
I'm just
I
saying.
don't know who you're dealing with. I mean, you must deal with more people than me, right? I guess you can't
Of
say
course.
anything because you got
What do
to
you mean?
deal with them again. But like, it's insane. It
Explain.
is
What do you mean by
in
that?
just the level of uh uneducated, and I don't even know what the right word is. They don't know what they're doing. It's like
Who?
they
Who?
agents, realtors,
Oh.
they can't make offers, they can't sign things back properly. They don't they can't, like, they freak out. So
Not
we're
my.
working
Not.
on this deal, okay?
Okay. Tell me.
And we've had it
Let
under
your story
contract.
is probably more interesting than mine. Go ahead. Go ahead,
It's
girl.
definitely going to be delivered more interestingly. That's for
Okay.
sure.
All right. Let me hear it.
TK.
Yeah.
I'm working on this deal. Okay. And we had it under contract for a very long time. And it's taking longer to put together because we've got so many other things going on and everything kind of keeps superseding this thing. And it hasn't really had much of my focus. So, you know, I was going to drop the deal. And instead, I said, you know what? Why don't we try and get an extension? Right. And my realtor, who's my daughter, was like, oh my God,
It's a great
really?
realtor.
Like, it's going to screw up the whole deal. The deal's over. They're never going to give us an extension. And I was like, first of all, I didn't care because I just can't really focus on the thing. Right. But
Yeah.
I said, just if you don't ask, you're never going to find out if you can. And this market's weird. And when the sellers also kind of got their teeth in on the deal, and they've generally,
Hope.
when you
There's
accept the
hope.
deal, you spent the money already, right? Like you're
DealCore.
thinking, how you
DealCore might put this through. We
Right?
don't have anybody else.
Well, it's not often that we drop deals, but we had to, we had to be very busy recently for some other requirement, which you know about. We're not going to get into that. But anyways,
Sure.
so
Top secret.
Bailey calls the
Canadian
other
real estate show.
agents, and the other agents freaking out. I can't tell them that. They're gonna go crazy. They're gonna kill me, and blah 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 blah. And what you like, and then they start like conniving in the background, trying to figure out like a way to kind of keep things together and not fuck up the deal and not have it ruined. And what ends up happening is it's just like, here, we send the amendment looking for an extension, and the guy goes, okay, no problem. Here it is. Right.
Yeah.
And it's like, that's, first of all, it's not normal because it's just a sign of this environment right now, because 2 years ago, you wouldn't want to drop a deal, right? Especially if you liked it.
If it's
right?
a good deal, you're not dropping
And
a
the
good deal.
seller
You got a
would be
good
like,
deal. That's
yeah,
a good deal that you got.
It's a great
There's a deal there. Exactly.
It's a great
There's
deal.
there.
There's no doubt that it's a great deal. Whether I can do it is another story. But that,
Of course.
the point is that another deal, we asked for an extension as well, right? And they also said yes, which is crazy because trust me, normally I get extensions, but like for people to so willingly, without asking for even anything back, or just, without even fighting.
He needs more time. Give him more time. He needs more time. He says he needs more time. Give him more time. It's
Nobody
DealCore.
else is calling right now. No, but this is the thing, is like the market's dead, right?
Yeah.
And people, if you have a buyer and you have a seller and everybody's kind of still willing, I think it's very different is the point, right? And same like the condo market. I've never, ever seen everybody complaining that there's just too much and realtors having too many options to show their clients. Like, when was the last time that ever happened?
I know. That's the
In
first time that I'm experiencing
2017,
it.
was it like that?
I'm the first time. No, like it's never been like this with this much inventory. It's the first time that I'm experiencing it, especially when you get a client that says, I want to live near the subway. Are you a real estate agent and you're looking to make a change anywhere in Ontario? Guess what? We're hiring. Frankly & Associates, #1 team in the GTA for all RE/MAX teams, #1 team for all teams from all companies for number of units sold throughout Toronto. So if you're looking to make a change, best decision I ever made was to join Frankly & Associates. Go to jointeamleo.com and we can set up a call.
Oh yeah, that narrows it down a little
It's a
bit
lot of different places with a lot of
right now.
condos. How am I supposed to
Holy
do?
shit.
So first of all, my storytelling and my story was better,
Okay,
but
fine.
I digress.
Nobody heard mine
Second of
because
all,
you bored them already.
second, they all left already. Second of all, I'm not even sure what your story was about. I'm pretty sure
It's
it was
about how
about.
different the market is right now and how you
Okay.
can get away with different things right now because there's options
All right.
for
All
the
right. Now I
buyers,
understand
right?
where you were going
And the
with that.
power has shifted, right?
Okay.
From the seller to the buyer, big time,
Okay.
right?
No relation to the condo market discussion that we were having.
Completely related to the condo
Completely
discussion that
related
we're
to
at.
that. Okay.
100%.
Because I
Because
sold a house last night. I had 4 offers on a place in the East End. I sold at 60,000 over asking. Freehold market's buzzing.
freehold is a totally different market. Absolutely. I
In
don't know
some
if it's
areas.
buzzing. Is it really buzzing?
Well, I think I can get a property sold. I mean, you listed
You
it in a
sell it
week.
for less than the
No, I
last
sold.
one.
No, I sold it for more. It was like 30 grand more than the last one that was similar, but it was a corner lot. So I think corner lots are not as popular. So I think we did really well. And everyone
And
was telling me that it was, priced at value, and somebody paid $60,000 more.
do we still waste our time looking at like where it would have been back at peak? Like, do you know
I don't know. Yeah,
where we're
definitely
at?
over a million. So it was like
What does that mean?
150 to $200,000 below peak.
Below peak.
Yeah, for sure.
Wow. That's
100%.
crazy. That's horrible.
100%.
Look, but
Yeah.
but that's the thing. You're going shopping for condos now. You can ask for some nutty things, right? And you can
What would you ask
ask
for?
for
What would
things.
you ask for? Tell me.
Well,
What do
I
you
would
like
definitely
other than a
ask.
low price?
What's that?
Other than a low price. I want to hear Daryl's perspective
I'd
on this.
ask
You're not
them
a
to like
realtor
pay for my
and you're not even a
closing
condo buyer.
costs. What about paying for
Mhm.
my closing costs or
Okay. They
giving me
can't really pay for the closing costs if it's part of the price. The banks don't want to see that. Okay, go ahead.
the banks don't want to see that?
No, they want to see because the purchase price is going to be based on loan to value. So they don't want to know that there's other cash incentives because that affects the loan to value. Because if they're going to do 95% loan to value, but you
Yeah.
got 10K worth of closing
Well,
costs built
even
in,
just
then that $600,000 purchase price is really 590, and now you're at 97.5%
yeah.
loan to value, and they don't want to see it.
Even just enough time to do some due diligence and have an inspection and come
What about a
back and say,
TV?
"Hey,
What about a TV? You can get through like
a
chattels. Like
TV?"
it's a vacant
Right?
condo, and you can
Yeah.
just be like,
I like that dining room
TV.
table,
No, it's a
bro.
vacant condo. You can just be like dining room set, SKU number,
Yeah.
from
IKEA.
you know what I mean? Like
Set it up for me,
TV,
bitch.
Best Buy, You have that all in the chattels. And you
Uh,
say, boom, I'll buy your condo, furnish it for me.
That's
Boom,
right.
part of the deal.
I would like I love those light fixtures. What light
Yeah.
fixtures?
Those
These
pot
light
lights.
fixtures.
I like those 6 pot lights in the living
Yeah.
room. Like,
And this
get creative. But
granite
like,
countertop.
why aren't people thinking like, why don't people get creative when it comes time to sell their property?
Because
why
check
is
it out.
everybody
People
so
are selling it
fixed
at
mindset?
losses. But people are selling their
Well,
condos
don't
at
worry about
losses
those
of
people. I'm talking about
270 grand.
those people are screwed. What I'm talking about is the
That's
people
the
who bought them
market, though.
years ago who are just trying to get out right now. Like, do something interesting.
But they're stuck in the same market as these yutzes that are willing to take a fucking hit like that's 50%. Or Ron Butler put up condo crazy town. Would you pay 270 to not buy the unit? Right? Because that's what's happening out there. People are taking such severe hits to walk away, hoping that they're not going to get sued. And so they're in the same market as the people that bought a long time ago and just want to get out unscathed, right?
Yeah.
And so all of this,
I think
it's just the beginning. TK, there's 300 cranes in the sky building shit that people can't close on.
I know.
This is gonna be fucking
The only thing that's
bananas.
going to save us right now is like a total 100% stop on any new housing whatsoever. The whole
That's what
3.87 million homes by 2031, like none of that happens. We need to build about 550,000 homes a year. We're pacing at about 250. Okay, so we're short
30,000 this year at this
right?
pace.
Like as long as that number keeps going down and that we stop building, then it'll at least get back to, a price point that, these people can survive on. But no one wants to hear that. Who wants to hear that prices are going to go up again? Like nobody. Like I don't even want that. I'm on the real estate
I want to hear it, but I don't want to be the one
dealing
who
with.
says
I want to sell the properties. It's great, but I don't want it to go up. I want it to, get to a point that people can afford housing and that it makes sense. We need to massively build more housing for people to live in.
I want people to be able to afford my house at its current price. Okay.
The price you want
That's
to sell
affordable, right?
Yeah.
But everybody's like that. The only way out is to actually do the opposite of what you said, is to flood the market with so much inventory that people have all these choices, that prices at least stagnate, stabilize, stay, they don't. But it's
it's
like
an
it's a
ongoing process.
balancing act. You don't want it to
This is
crash and you don't want it to go crazy. You just want it to like steadily go up nicely and people not to invest in it. Like you were saying a couple weeks ago, is you got to get people to like not want to invest in real estate anymore. And that's not happening. People are just itching to do
Trudeau
it.
is talking about that recently in an interview. He says we got to stop the speculation. We got to stop the speculation. We got to make sure that people can just live in their homes. If it goes up, doubles in 8 years, that's not right. People can't be looking at it as an asset. Yeah.
What a fucking asshole.
All he's saying is, hey, this is my advice to you guys, without an actual
Well,
plan.
under Trudeau, things like this Oshawa home that sold for $2.55 million in 2022 just sold for 1.75 in 2024. This is the shit that happened under Trudeau, where, first of all, the fuck is somebody doing paying 2.55 million in Oshawa? What the hell is worth even $1.5 million in Oshawa? And that's the crazy thing, is like a normal house from a brand new subdivision house in Oshawa that's like probably under 3,000 square feet is $1.5 million right now. This
which is insane.
Insane, right? And what people don't realize is, like, given all of this stuff that's happening, and I promise you, like, nobody's going to build anything for a while, right? And nobody's selling anything, even if there's a nice chunky dip in the pricing, right? In a couple of years, there's going to be such a glut in this market. Okay, once all this stuff does get absorbed into inventory, unless we think that while interest rates are on their way down, that inventory is just going to keep piling up and nobody's going to buy anything. Like, otherwise, the inventory is going to get eaten up and there'll be nothing. There'll be nothing being built at all. And anybody who's thinking about building anything, I'm
not going to say, I think that's a pumper mentality. The pumper mentality is because we are increasing our population, demand is not going anywhere, and our supply has been short. And obviously, we were talking about that for years, and that it felt that way. Well, clearly, we have just that. We have more people than ever before. We didn't build any more houses, and we got the most inventory we've ever had on the market. So the theory really is being tested right now, and I don't think we've got a shortage like everybody claims we do. But building more houses will create more affordability. That is for sure. If they build 3.87 million houses by 2031, I'll tell you right now, prices are going to be cut in half in Canada. It's just not happening. We're not going to have that many houses built in that short amount of time. And
we won't even have a third of that.
So many people now who are going to be losing, right? And so what I think is right now is an awesome time for people to trade. If you're going to move to a condo from a house, like the people I'm going out with on Saturday,
from a house to trade down,
to a condo, what a great opportunity that is.
Trading down would be good.
Absolutely, right? If you're looking to get into the market, great opportunity to jump into condos, right? Get something, don't pay more than you need to, but get into something reasonable. If you want to go to a bigger house, great opportunity, because now you're not going to be competing with as many people on that nice big house that you want, because your job's doing well, you've paid down your mortgage. You can sell your home right now, right? To sell your condo and get into a home, not a great time.
I heard a great story yesterday.
It can happen. You can do it, but it's not a perfect opportunity.
Well, this is an interesting story, actually. So somebody I work with, younger guy, we were on a FaceTime or whatever the hell it's called yesterday, a Zoom call yesterday, and
Snapchat.
He wanted to know what I thought because he just bought a condo.
Yeah,
and I was like, oh, it's an interesting time for a guy in your position. Like, he's a money broker, our mortgage broker, and he bought a condo for himself. And I was like, that's an interesting move. And he told me, the details. And I was like, he says, how do you justify, that price? Right? Because it was really good. I said, exactly the way that you justified it. Like, you buy the thing. Right. So if you're in a position right now where you do have some money and you are looking for a condo, holy cow, like, there are some deals out there. This guy bought something in Yorkville for $1,000 a foot. Okay. Mm-hmm. And that is crazy. And what's even better is he was renting the unit before. right? So off market, he talked to his landlord. The landlord wanted to sell. He was like, I love this place. It's perfect for me. I'll buy it, right? And
Mhm.
they worked out a deal for a steal. I guess the seller must have been
Listen,
happy.
the sellers, saved on the commission. He probably could give him a little bit of a break. I think that's a great
The commission
happy
alone was worth
ending.
saving for
Yeah,
sure.
that's great.
Yeah, unbelievable,
Yeah.
but like interesting, right? Because you always say that it just because the market's crappy or good. I mean, people are buying because of their life circumstances, right? And you never know when the life circumstance says, oh, I guess it's time to buy something now, right?
How many, so just update, let's do an update here. How many people in your circle of friends that you talk to every day are homeless?
um Last I checked, it is still hovering around zero.
Okay. Mine too. People need a place to live there.
People like living
So
places.
there's always going to be transactions. There's always going to be people buying. That's never going to change. We're never going to have that demand leave, but the speculation needs to go.
The
That's the issue.
speculation
The
needs to
speculation
be
needs to go.
tamed.
If
I
you're going to
mean,
make money and you need to find a way to make money, then that's great. You're good at renovating, you're good at building, you're good at developing, you're good at, hosting Airbnbs, whatever it is. You got a real estate strategy that works for you, you deserve to make more money. But if you're just going to buy and sit on a property and because the market goes up, that you make money because of that, that's called speculation. And that is what hurts the market. That is exactly why people get into the market. They buy extra homes, better, more properties without a strategy in order to be able to profit later on.
so
We need to get
so
rid of that. And that's what we're doing. We're getting rid of that right
well,
now.
that's what you
Nobody's
think.
buying right now because they think it's going to go up.
No, but okay, so that's what you think, but that's on one hand. But on the other
Yeah.
hand, you have
That's on the other
stuff
hand.
like the rental market is up at least 10% in 6 months in Durham. Okay. It's
Rental market
insane.
month over month in Canada is down.
Maybe, but
Year over
like
year is up. So you got to hear the stats. You hear the stats year over year is up. Month over month is down
in 6
0.8% in
months, it's
Canada.
saying 10% in
Okay,
6 months in Durham. And
no
and
problem.
listen, it is true. This is
Of
it says
course.
it's insane what you get for 4 grand, okay, a month in Durham.
Yes.
And
Because Durham's the cheapest place to live. So people are moving to where the lowest price per square foot is. That's what
yeah,
happens when the economy struggles, is that people look for the cheapest option possible, which is
but
Durham region.
investors are going to go, oh, wow, maybe I can actually make some money. Look, you found
Right.
places to make money right now. And I know
I know.
Foch must be finding all kinds of deals up in Belleville and God knows where up north for
I know.
8 caps that bring in $40 a month,
Yeah. But
right?
I'm telling you right now is that that theory that you've got where all of a sudden the investors are going to just rush in, it's not there.
I don't know, rush in, but I think
Yeah.
the appetite has not been tamed by this, right?
Not yet.
So what's it going to take for the appetite to get
Prolonged,
tamed? Prolong
prolonged
this, right?
downturn in the market.
Oh, but they're
I'm
already
telling
cutting
you,
rates. So this
Daryl,
is weird.
the pain that we're dealing with, the most inventory for the condo market. The inventory is high. It's not into a buyer's market yet, but it's still
It's creeping.
a closer to balanced buyer's market than we were before.
It's creeping.
You've got people who are struggling to make those payments, who are hitting the markets because they've got no choice. There's life circumstances that people are going to sell
They
for.
fuck up the
Death,
market.
divorce,
Yeah. They
other
kill the
finances,
market.
moving jobs, all that kind of stuff. The people who need to sell are going to sell.
Take on too much debt thinking you're a big shot builder and lose everything. I mean, there's so many of those happening.
This is
It's
what's
crazy.
happening. This is
All
what's
over the
happening.
place. And then even big sites there's more power of sales on big sites. Everybody. Guess what site didn't sell yet for $1.2 billion?
Is it really
How-
up for sale for $1.2 billion?
That's what they're trying to get.
That's the
what
debt, though, they've got.
I mean, that probably
It's
just
just the
makes
debt.
everybody kind of whole, and then there's
Yeah.
no money to build the rest of the building. I don't know
Yeah.
what the hell's going on over there, but who would buy that? Although I did hear that a couple of the Van Dyke sites sold. So, I mean, I guess people are somehow finding ways. I don't know how the hell you'd find a way to make one of those sites work. And this is one that was like under construction, had all the contracts already in place, and they're planning on dumping all the contracts.
The creditors make deals and those type of things. When you go into receivership and you got a buyer who's willing to take over and finish the project, you cut a deal with that guy.
You cut a deal with that guy,
You
but
cut
then
a deal
all
with
the
that guy.
all the
Because the
all
lenders,
the
when they're
buyers.
when the lenders are putting that deal together, and they're looking at this going like, oh my God, how are we going to recuperate our money? What if X, Y, and Z happens? We literally could lose even more. So let's cut our losses. Let's find somebody who is going to be, we can sell it to. Let's provide them financing. Let's do everything we need to do to help them facilitate, get this deal done to make the numbers work for them. So at least we can get them as much money back as we can once they complete the project. It's much different when it's a piece of land. It's a piece of land. They're going to sit on that and say, you know what? We need to get our money back. This is the risk we took as a lender, and they're going to hang on until they can get the price that they need to. When it's
what's crazy is people are buying them now, like not waiting for longer. I mean, they must be dying and bleeding. There was 10 sites. Why? I mean, they must have got it for such a steal, right? And
There's
then
so
they
much
sell
money
all
out
the
there.
contracts, and now you can sell it at, I mean, these are Van Dyke sites that are being built. So they must have been sold like, I don't know, 4 or 5 years ago. It's buildings, right?
Yeah.
So,
And
I mean, I
prices are
imagine if
pretty
you can
decent there, too.
reset the prices, and you can buy it for cheap enough, I guess they figured out a way to make it make sense. I would imagine that if you were pricing out a job right now for construction of a typical building, that prices would be going down as guys are freaking out about where they're going to put the guys next.
Yeah.
Right? Because even though there's all these cranes, I can't imagine anybody's got work lined up next.
No,
Right?
the guys that I'm talking to, I'm trying to get information from some of the contractor guys that I'm talking to. The home guys are slow, right? So guys doing renovations at home and stuff like that too. But the guys who are building condos, they're all still buzzing.
They're buzzing, but
We got
as the
300
projects
cranes.
end, there's nowhere for
Of
them to
course,
go.
sure. But
Except, do you
they're
know where
still
they
building.
go? This is what happened last time, and we talked about it. I think I wrote
Yeah.
an article about it a couple of years ago when things first started falling apart.
They go to your street.
Well, no, yeah, they come to my house and they try and renovate my house, but they all become contractors, right? All these guys that are working in the high rise who all, all of a sudden they have nothing to do. If there's framing that needs to be done, well, guess who is a good framer all of a sudden, right? These guys, all of a sudden they trickle over to where things are happening, right? So now all of a sudden you're going to have the worst labor ever. And this is what happens is they all used to be framers working in the low rise, and then low rise died and everybody all of a sudden was slinging concrete and doing rebar for the high rise, right? And they didn't know what they were doing because they were carpenters. Now you see the reverse is going to happen. You got all these guys who all they know is how to slug concrete and tie rebar going to frame houses because housing will get busier again. If housing doesn't get busier again, imagine where are all these people going? Where are they? What are they all doing? Imagine what's going to happen.
It's never going to get to
soon.
that point. It's never going to get to that
Unemployment? No, you don't think so? We're going to see like 12% unemployment?
No, it's never going to get to that point. We have too much government assistance.
Government
right?
assistance.
There's too many projects that the government's going. They're throwing billions of dollars into all these different projects.
But no
in
one's
order to be able to
getting
build.
that money.
Now,
they're just
okay,
talking
but-
about it. They're not
Sure,
giving it to
but
anybody.
they're going to start creating opportunities for people to make money. It's incredibly inflationary and it hurts our economy, and that it's going to just build up more debt. But that's what our government has proven over and over and over again that they're willing to do in order to be
They're
able
good
to
at
keep that guy, going to work every day and eating his lunch at home. They're talking about land leases. So they're talking about the government's looking at freeing up federal land. They've freed up a few properties. They're going to lease them to builders. They've created an opportunity to build 800 homes. This is the newest stat on it in Toronto.
What? Hold on, say that again.
100
I think I couldn't have heard you properly. How many?
800 homes. These federally owned lands will now be leased. 40 in Edmonton.
40?
Yeah, 400 or 500 in Ottawa.
800?
No, in total. Ottawa's getting a lot.
Including the 800.
Ottawa's doing really well. Yeah. And
That's not just Toronto?
They got Ellis Dawn. They got Ellis Dawn, who's going to be working on all this. And Ellis Dawn is a great construction company, but as far as developer goes, they're new to the game.
They're very new to the game. They got a great project that they're doing.
Yeah.
That's interesting.
I wonder how that's going to work on leased land, because to me, some of these deals, even if the land is free, still aren't great deals. Just because of what you're selling for, the price. So I wonder on leased land.
Well, I guess it depends where it is.
Purpose-built rental, right? Like the purpose-built rental play on leased land is massive, because you can just put that in.
A component of that, though. So again, it depends, I suppose, where
you get
it
a
is
great
and how
deal
big a
from
discount that is.
Get a deal from the government. You go to the government and you say, "Look, this is what the lease price is. Otherwise, we can't make this work." And that's the government's job, is to be able to make this pencil.
the development charges are like 50% or more of the equity that you need to raise in order to do a purpose-built rental building, right? These development charges, and they just went up so much, it's just staggering. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
on my Forest Hill project alone, the development charges from one day to the next went up 42%, 600 something $1,000 just right there. You're talking 800 units. $600,000 just because all of a sudden they passed a new bill one day.
Yeah.
And it's crazy. And it's, I mean, depending on when this thing actually gets through the process, I mean, if it goes to another year, they could raise them again.
Yeah.
And I mean, imagine what that does. I mean, $600,000, who is that not a lot of money for, right? And so
The problem is with the Toronto development charges is that, the money isn't even really used, in the way that it's supposed to be used, right? Like you're supposed to be obviously building infrastructure and, putting it back into the community and all that kind of stuff. But like it's clear that they're not actually doing any of those things. And it's clear that
they're just doing it in a different country.
And it's not Toronto. Toronto City.
Plenty of
Toronto's not doing that.
infrastructure being
But they're
built.
raising property taxes and they're doing everything else in order for people to be able to pay for those same things. Right.
Sure.
And when they turn a parking lot, like your particular property in Forest Hill, let's talk about property taxes.
Yeah.
Property taxes right now on that property per year are $20,000 a year.
On all 10 combined?
Yeah. I don't know. What is it?
Way more than that.
$40,000 a year.
At least, yeah.
Okay. Let's say $50,000 a year, just for argument's sake. Now, when you create a certain amount of units with all the assessed values and everything else that you're going to have, use like a 1% factor, right? You're talking about like $1 million, let's say, in property taxes. Just
yeah,
so
over here. Yeah, it's going to go
so
crazy.
Went from $50,000 a year to $1 million a year in property taxes.
And I had to pay for the infrastructure for this thing, right?
Yeah.
Which is crazy.
For the next, 100 years, they're going to collect that much more because they developed. Why did the development charges need to be taken?
And on top of that, do you know what they force you to do now? So you got all this money that goes towards sewers and drainage and all this kind of stuff, right? Yeah. Now
the developer pays that out of their pocket.
Yeah. And then like you're talking, there's all these fees, development fees and charges that should go towards infrastructure to handle the building and stuff like that, right? So but you can't discharge the water into the sewer system from like the runoff of the land and the roofs and everything. You can't put that into, like, you have to make the whole building watertight. During construction, you have to cart the water off the site. Like, you have to collect the water that accumulates and cart it off site. You can't dump it into their drains. It's like, it's such a craziness. It's like, what are you paying for with all this money? What does the developer actually get?
Think about it. Like, there's nobody who can answer that question and say, oh, but that money goes into these areas, which helps pay for all these things, because all those things are all future costs, which those property taxes would be paying for.
And right? Then some, like, isn't that what they're for? So what should happen is they should be like, based on the math here and based on the calculations of what we figure we'll bring in for eternity here, thanks to you, we should be paying you. We should give you this check. And there should be a ceremony
for creating,
and I should be able to go
more
like this
property tax revenue for us.
Thank you. I got units on the market.
Business model, right? Any other business model, that would be the reception that Darryl Frankfort got.
I should walk down the streets.
You created 20 times more revenue for us annually forever.
This guy should be revered. I should have my own, like, police escorts to get downtown. They should let me have my own podcast. Yeah. No, but seriously, it's so fucking backwards. It's like everything. I mean, the whole world is backwards, right? When a baseball player can make $30 million a year and the guy cleaning the toilets at the stadium makes $14.25 an hour if they don't find ways to take it from him, like, everything's so fucked up. And now, so I see a lot of people. First of all, there's no way unemployment numbers are right, because all of a sudden there's 3 million people here and a lot of them don't have jobs. So I don't know how they're tracking the numbers anymore. But with the slowdown in construction that is coming, okay, and I don't know if what numbers or what stats anybody else is looking at, but there's a huge slowdown coming. These numbers are going to get pretty big, because if you have enough sites that have 300 cranes and now nobody is launching anything and nobody is starting anything, um, like what's going to happen when all these people need to work somewhere? Like that's a lot of people. A lot of people. All of a sudden 10 projects finish, right? How many people are working on those 10 projects? If you think about like how many people are actually working on these things, and then there's the people in the office, and then there's the lawyers, and then there's the planners, and it's like offshoots and offshoots and offshoots and offshoots. If you see, have you seen, like, no, you probably haven't, but like lumber prices are cratering, and that is a huge indicator of what is coming down the pipe, right? Because lumber is a huge leading indicator, I think, right? Because when it's in high demand, it means things are happening, right?
Yeah, yeah. Look when it skyrocketed.
And it's gone.
So I think RBC was projecting that housing starts would start to rise by 2025. Right. So I think those type of things are out there that people are going to be starting to put shovels in the ground again. So again, I'm not
no one's selling.
Fully
How are they
convinced,
gonna put a shovel in the
I'm
ground?
not fully
if you can't
convinced that
sell?
they're going to stop building. I believe purpose-built renters. There's so much
Rentals.
money out there. There's so much money out there. People don't understand the level of wealth that these corporations have, and that when opportunities like that present themselves in places like Canada, people step in and they take advantage of them, and they put the money up in order to be able to make money, and they will create opportunities. Even in the Great Depression,
I know
there were people who were developing their businesses and their models because of they were taking advantage of the circumstances. So we're going to have that same type of scenario here. The average person for the next little while is royally screwed.
royally
That is
screwed.
one thing that I can promise everybody right now. But I'm talking to people. China just had like 40 banks close, and that people are lining up outside because they got bankrupt banks going on over there. People in the States now, the economy isn't doing as well. I know the numbers are still coming in that the economy's hot, but the inventory is piling up. I was talking to someone in Florida. I was talking
Florida's
to
a
someone else in the South.
mess.
Listings are piling up down there.
Sure.
Their market's starting to, similar become what ours is. They're just a little bit behind.
Sure.
Right. So the whole world has got these issues right now where people are struggling, and that people are really going to be feeling the pain of a global recession. It's just the governments they hate that word. So they do everything they can to make it look like we're not in a growth. They just know what that means. They know that money dries up. As soon as the recession word comes out, all of a sudden money just dries up, and it just makes everything worse. And then everybody complains and they freeze, and we have bigger issues. So they're trying to really massage this to be able to get people to feel like our economy is not doing so bad. Right. And obviously immigration numbers are just one small part to that.
I just don't see a scenario where it doesn't get very, very, very scary for a bit, because I don't know what gets the thing grooving again. I think watching. You're being dramatic. No,
very, very scary. I think you're being dramatic. I wish
I was being dramatic,
because people are in a tight position, and there's going to be some people where it's scary and that they're going to be in a really bad position. It's just for the average person, they're going to be cutting back on things.
Well, most of the people that needed to cut back on things are probably a little bit too late to be cutting back on things, because this thing has lasted for a long time already, right? And this thing, I don't believe that the market has reacted quite the way anybody anticipated in any direction at any point in time. I mean, everybody was freaking out that when they cut rates, that the market was just going to go back to the moon and go crazy, and that obviously didn't happen. And now everybody's saying, well, it was only 25 points, so it can't do anything to the market. But we're now the trajectory, or now the direction, the trend is changed, right? So happy days are here again. But I mean, we didn't see prices completely disintegrate in a market crash when they raised interest rates 500 basis points in like 2 minutes, right? And so now, I wonder what's going to happen if the economy gets so bad and they have to drop rates. Are prices going to keep going up? Are people going to buy? It doesn't seem like it's having like maybe I'm wrong. Maybe it's having the perfect effect. Maybe this disaster is exactly what was supposed to happen. This is the soft landing coming up.
I'm hoping that it's not as bad as it could be. But I do know one thing for sure is that the people I'm dealing with right now have got bigger problems than I've ever seen
Yeah,
before.
and it's going to get worse
I
because
saw I
now
saw
there's going to
another
be
one. I saw
more
another one,
inventory.
$1.2 million mortgage. Total payments $75,000 over the course of 1 year.
How much? $1.2 million mortgage?
$1.2 million mortgage. Total payments $75,000 in 1 year. Total interest paid 74,000.
Yeah.
How
Yeah.
long do people do
Whoa.
that for?
Yeah,
Right?
wait.
How
Wait till the
long do
banks
you
get
how long
creative.
do you live in your house not paying off your mortgage at all, watching the price of your home fall before you do something drastic?
Right.
You know?
Well, but
And that's
those
a
people that are signing up for those kind of mortgages are just waiting for the other side, baby.
these are
It's going to come back. We're going to get our appreciation
okay,
in a
but these
bit.
are
We're going to
normal
hang on.
people. Daryl, people were getting mortgages. People were
Yeah.
getting $1 million mortgages and they thought 2%.
Yeah.
This is great.
This is
And when it
crazy.
was on a variable rate,
Yeah.
this is the outcome. Now you're looking at reverse amortizations, negative amortization. Sorry, you're looking at 90-year amortizations, all that kind of stuff.
Oh, it's so crazy.
And that this is the level, this is the amount of principal that they're paying off.
It's so crazy. I was thinking before we started the show about buying my first house and just like, it was $286,000. And we had maybe 125, $135,000. And I was freaking out about taking that mortgage for 150 grand, right? And it was
Yeah.
probably at 3.75% or 3.85%, something like that. And I was freaking out. And now it's like $150,000 mortgage. Like you can't get that even on, like, can you get where?
They would laugh at you. They wouldn't even take you
What
seriously.
is this
This is
number?
something that you guys should know, like as listeners too, right? Like when I'm doing my first deals in real estate, like they're all 150. I did like $30,000, $60,000
Like,
deals,
what are you trading?
250. Like that was a great deal. I
Right?
was like,
It's like
oh,
a
this girl wants to buy a
garage.
500,000 property. Like that was like, oh my gosh, I can't believe it.
Right.
Like that was a big client, right? And now, right, it's like you get conditioned, and all of a sudden someone comes to you with $150,000 purchase of a trailer park and da 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 da.
Yeah.
You're just like, geez, just call the listing agent. Don't worry. Oh my God. Like it's so like
I
people
mean,
think it's a waste of time. And
you
so
spit
mortgage
out,
brokers are the same. You call them for a loan that's really small and it doesn't mean anything to them. They're like,
it's
oh
not worth the
geez,
time. Sure.
come on,
Well,
let's pass you to my assistant.
and you're spitting out $1.2 million mortgage like it's no big deal, right? $1 million
Yeah.
mortgage is like kind of necessary for most deals, right? Like how
Most people nowadays. I mean, I just did one a $2 million mortgage. It was my
$2 million
listing.
mortgage.
Yeah. And so
Oh
they're getting a
God.
$2 million mortgage, which is
Oh, what's that?
40%
15 grand a month,
loan to
18
value.
grand a month?
40% loan to value. No,
How much is that payment
60%
every
loan to
month?
value.
What's the payment on a $2 million mortgage?
$2 million mortgage would be about $12,000 a month.
What? Talking the mic, bro.
$12,000 a month.
$12,000 a
Something like
month? I
that.
think it's
Yeah.
more than that. I think
Is
it's
it?
more than that. Yeah, I think it's more than that. But that's
I don't know.
crazy alone.
Anyways.
Even if you're right, 12,000.
Yeah.
I think it's probably more like 15, 18,000. But I guess it depends on the
600
rate.
bucks a month per hundred
But
thousand
how do
dollars.
you qualify for that $2 million? What kind of business do you have, or what kind of income do
That's
you
what I want to know,
show?
right?
What
Yeah.
kind of like how
I'm
are
a
you showing enough income to qualify for a $2 million
yeah.
mortgage
You're
right
like
now?
you're like 500K income, maybe four or
Where is this
500K
place?
income,
Is it
right?
Brampton, TK? Are we talking Brampton? Those guys must be running
The
around like
agent is from
cockroaches,
Brampton. The
right? Like,
agent's from Brampton.
no, the mortgage agents from Brampton doing
Yeah, the
all
agent
those
though, the real estate agent's
loans.
from Brampton. So 100%, that's what's going on. It's got to be.
That's what's
There's no
going
other way.
on.
There's no other possibility that that person could make that much money. It's got to be
There's
fraud.
got to be fraud. No,
Got to
it's
be
not that the
fraud.
guy can't make money, but I'm wondering, what do you do? Okay. Because an entrepreneur that's showing that kind of income so that he could qualify for a $2 million mortgage, is he even doing that? Like, he'd just pay cash, right? He
Yeah.
won't even get that $2 million mortgage. So, like, who the fuck is getting the $2 million mortgage? And
Yeah.
how the hell are they qualifying? I was listening to a video today that was talking about how just the fraud level in the city in the last decade, just the what's the word I'm looking for? The, the quality and just the ingenuity of these fraudsters has just got to such a level where they're like bank statements, you know, like they're making fake bank statements and they're making fake businesses, and people are saying that they're self-employed and like making the whole thing up, right? All the statements, all the everything is completely fictitious. And I mean, if you think about it, with today's technology, that's not even that hard to do. I mean, a little
Right?
kid could probably do it pretty well, right?
Yeah. Imagine fake IDs now. I wonder what they're doing for fake IDs. Remember
How do
what we
you
had to do
not?
for fake IDs? You just had to get a real ID and then just look like the person.
Oh my
But
God.
nowadays, I
I used to
imagine the fake IDs are like top notch.
I used to take like a scotch tape, you know, the clear tape, and you'd
Yeah.
put it over the thing, and you'd take a pencil and you'd have to like try. It didn't look real at all, but nobody even
Yeah.
gave a shit back then. They just
Yeah.
like laugh at you and let you in the place.
Yeah.
Right?
I never
Didn't
altered.
matter.
I used a guy that looked like me. That was the best way. Use a
What's
guy
that?
that looked like me. He was like
Using, yeah.
23 and I was like 17.
And he
But
actually looked like you.
we looked like each other. Yeah. I mean, we were just like blonde hair, blue eyes, white guys.
They didn't look.
So that was good
Yeah,
enough.
they didn't look back then. Nobody gave a shit.
That was good enough for everything, right?
But nowadays with the technology, I mean, you could make a whole person up from scratch and make their whole life history and give it to somebody. And I mean, I guess now people have more time to check things a little more carefully. But when things were rocking and socking, people didn't. I mean, there's probably a lot of people in on the deal, but people were not checking the way that they probably should have because they didn't have enough time. There weren't enough people around, and everybody was like, let's go, let's make more money, let's make more money, let's go.
But tenant profiles have improved, so that's for sure. I've seen a few tenant profiles lately, and I've talked to a few people who are planning on renting, and there's a ton of really good qualified tenants out there.
But
You know,
how
there's
do
a
you
ton of people
find
who've
them?
got great income, great credit, and all that kind of stuff. But they're going to pick the best deals. They're going to pick the best units, all that kind of stuff. So if you want to like overprice your unit or you got a really lousy place, you might not attract that tenant, right? But if you got a great place to rent, you know, I was talking to a client. We rented out a house for her in Whitby. She's got a great tenant. Another one in I don't know. She bought a place out east somewhere. And so I was just talking to a client. It was a rental property she owned, and she said the guy pays like early, like it's wonderful, right? So there's a lot of stories out there like that. We should get an update on the landlord tenant board soon, to see what kind of wait times they're getting. I haven't had anybody have to go to the board. I think everybody just kind of avoids it now. You know, if someone comes to me and says, "Here, I've got a dispute with my tenant," and I can't solve the problem with some sort of, you know, simple solution that, you know, works for everybody, like right away, I'm just like, pay them to leave. Like, don't even bother going the route. I had one client recently who told me that her application got denied. Now her application is the tenant, it's a rooming house. The tenant assaulted the other tenants in the rooming house and then that made them leave and then changed the locks. And he said, and he's paying like room rent, like $700 a month for one room, but he gets to live in the whole main floor and she hasn't been in the house in years. So she sends the guy to the board to say, you know, this is what's going on. Can we kick him out? Now, he also hasn't been paying his rent. So thankfully, she's got the N4 application in with the L2 in order to be able to say non-payment of rent. That's another application. But this other application, which I believe was an N5, has just sort of like the disrupting the enjoyment of the premises from the other tenants and stuff like that. So that got denied. They were just like, no, he gets to stay. Yeah, they were just like, he gets to stay. Like, we don't care. Like, they threw it out. She had a paralegal. She did everything right. So the paralegal was just like, that's what happened. And I told her that that's a hard one to win, right? In order to be able to prove. Yeah. Oh, because this guy here has got like medical issues and health issues and all that kind of stuff. So they said, okay, yeah, he's disruptive. Yeah, he's threatening people. Yeah, he's changed the locks. Yeah, he's took over the house. You haven't been there in years, but he's got problems.
And he's not paying. That's cool.
That was a separate application. You can't talk about it at that hearing.
What
so now,
the fuck? What?
She's waiting for that hearing to come up.
A
so that way she
separate
can
hearing
go there.
for the same tenant.
Here's the other one. I think an L1 and L2 are two different eviction notices, so you got to do them separate. Anyways,
this is easy. Everybody should be. Everybody pay him to leave. This guy doesn't give a shit. He's not paying rent. Why would he leave?
Here you go. Here's some money. Let's go. How much is it going to cost you?
Fuck you, bro. I'm staying for free. I'm kicking everybody out. This house is mine.
You're going to go. Eventually, I'm going to get you out. Just think about it, what you can do with that money. You could go to Vegas.
Claim this house in the name of Libya.
You could go anywhere you want to go with the $5,000 that I'm going to offer you. But anyways, again, I digress.
Taking
Darryl,
this house. I'm taking this house, and then there's nothing you can do about it. That's crazy. Did you digress? When did you digress? Like at the start?
I'm back on track.
You're back on track.
What
So
we're going to do now is
what about rate cuts? Any rate cuts coming? You think there's going to be a rate cut? I don't know. We're talking like everything's so
rate
shit.
cuts?
There's a
We're talking
meeting
about
in
rate
2
cuts?
weeks. No more cuts.
We're talking about people's
Pause.
lives here. You're talking about rate cuts?
We need rate cuts to save lives.
We don't need rate cuts.
Last week we're cutting trees to save lives. This week we need rate cuts to save lives. What's
How
next
much?
week
What
gonna
is
be?
the rate cut going to do? We don't need just
Development
rate cuts.
charge
We need
cuts.
so many things to be able to get people back on track. Rate cuts are not going to do it. Unfortunately, people are stupid. And when those rate cuts happen, guess what? A bunch of buyers are going to come back into the market who aren't in the market or, have been sitting on the sidelines waiting in the market and start buying up houses again for prices that make no sense. And it's going to put them in that exact position that they were before. That's going to still be a little while from now.
We need
is
an election. That's what's going to change
an election.
things around
That's
here.
one.
We need an
And
election.
we need a lot of people to get burned and hurt really bad, unfortunately.
Oh God, don't say that, TK.
This is the truth. It sucks.
If it hasn't happened
Myself,
to you can't just
like
say
realtors,
it like it's like nothing.
everybody needs to get a real big wake up call here in order to be able to get back on track. Unfortunately, it's not going to happen though.
It's not going to happen.
Won't let it. No, they won't let it.
Won't let it happen
because
of the land leases.
Keep nursing everybody back to health.
The land leases.
If this is the best solution. It's like an enabling mother with her drug addicted child. She keeps just giving them $20.
Yeah.
Okay, Billy, listen, you can sleep in the garage tonight. Here's $20. Don't tell your father.
Don't tell your father.
That's what it is. Right? And that's what people will continue to do. They'll keep on going to the government and say, just give me a little bit more, just give me a little. And these are the problems that we've got, and we're stuck here. This is no way out, unfortunately.
No way out, except for, you know what they're going to come up with? They're going to come up with something. They're going to figure out that the only thing that is possible now, the only way out, TK, and this is going to be revolutionary, but the only way out is to raise taxes.
Yep.
Raise taxes and raise development charges, because there's way too much profit being made in all these condos that are about to not get built.
Mm-hmm.
If we leave all of these decisions to the powers that be, TK, we will end up here again next week and the week after.
I think we'll be here next week. You want to do this again next week, Darryl?
I'm going to be in Pittsburgh next week, but we'll be here.
We'll do it.
We'll be here.
Let's do it. Same time?
Similar time.
Similar time? Okay.
Similar time. There's no guarantees around here.
I'll be there.
TK, always
Infinity
a pleasure.
and beyond.
And beyond.
Oh, yeah. I thought we were doing that.
Doing what?
The infinity and beyond thing.
We just did it, didn't we? Is it a thing?
I thought,
did I miss a script? Did you send me something?
Now it is.
Now it is.